Broussard, last night, was it a sign Steph will not be able to carry the Warriors to the playoffs all by himself?
Yeah, I said it yesterday. Look, he can. It's a possibility, but he won't. They won't make the playoffs. And you saw, look, I don't want to make too much out of last night's game, but just looking at that roster, he needs some help. And we can talk about Dame Lillard as Wild's brought up, but C.J. McCollum can ball. If C.J. McCollum was in the East, he'd have made a few all-star teams. Yusef Nurkic can play, and they've got some other players around those guys that can play. So that's not a fair comparison. This will not mean Steph is not a great player, not an all-time great player. But look, Draymond Green, as good as he is a specialist. He's a great defensive player and playmaker, but he doesn't score. Their second and third best scorers both shot air balls last night. Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre combined to go 7 for 30. All three of Oubre's baskets were dunks. I'll give him that. He should be in the dunk contest this year because he can really fly. But outside of that, they don't have anything. James Weissman, shout out to him, great pick. That'll pay dividends next year. But Steph doesn't have help. And look, for your all-time list, Nick, Isaiah Thomas had Kelly Tripucka, I don't know if you were watching basketball back then, but Kelly Tripucka could ball. He was a two-time All-Star and a straight-up scorer. Then he got Adrian Dantley and Joe Dumars. So he didn't make the playoffs with no help. Allen Iverson missed the playoffs one year, averaging 33 and 7. Or 33 and 8 in his prime.
AI was hurt that year.
He did it again. He did it again. He played 72 games. He was hurt the one year, but then the next year they missed it again. So he played 72 games and they missed it.
But Steph's in a different tier than Iverson. He's supposed to be. I got him as the third. He is. Steph, listen, I love AI.
He's making the playoffs in the West by himself.
Okay,
LeBron didn't make the playoffs 2 years ago. Without help.
He was hurt. They were in fourth. Okay,
17 games.
They were in fourth place. They were in fourth place when he tore his groin. Don't give me the LeBron thing.
I get he was hurt, but it was only 17 games.
Hold on a second. Let's talk about this for a second. Because the Warriors look terrible, look awful, and forget all-time rankings and all of this. That we know in the NBA, a singularly all-time great player is not supposed to miss the playoffs. Now, you don't always go on a playoff run. Kevin Garnett had to leave Minnesota. Why? Because they kept losing in round one, not because they kept missing the playoffs. Kobe, when Shaq left, they missed it 1 year, and they couldn't. I don't know if you're talking about Garnett or Kobe. Garnett at the end, after they went on the playoff run at the end, then they did miss it, and then he went to Boston. Kobe missed it the 1 year, and then they got knocked out in the first round twice. Take his contemporaries. Russell Westbrook. Oh, he's always had great teammates. No, he hasn't. And he drugged them to the playoffs the first year Durant was gone. And the year Durant was hurt all year, they won 45 games and missed the playoffs out on a tiebreaker to New Orleans. James Harden has never missed the playoffs. And that, to me, is more the story, Brandon. It's that we have heard, and I get the Steph hive. I understand it. And again, I think he's the 13th best player in the last 50 years. But we have heard them say, oh, my God, if Steph had Russ's usage rate, if Steph had Harden's usage rate, well, if he doesn't, they have no shot this year. And I'm concerned he can't do it, that he's not built for their usage rate, that he's not built to carry an under-talented team. And again, he is great at what he is, but now they're asking him to be something slightly different, and I don't know that he can do it.
All right, well, speaking of guys who might want to leave, let's talk some James Harden. New report has the Raptors, the Celtics, and the Nuggets emerging as potential suitors for the superstar. Trade rumors piling up by the day. Reports of Harden's frustration mounting in Houston. Nick, which of these new suitors is most intriguing to you?
Well, Brandon and I were talking before the show. I know he loves the idea of, or I don't want to speak for him, but I think he loves the idea of Harden for the Nuggets because the Nuggets will be able to keep Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. I think it's dynamic. It would drastically change the way they play, but that would be a massive big three. I gotta say, Broussard, it's sitting right there for the Celtics. Like, if Bam Adebayo's not available, and Donovan Mitchell's not available, and Ben Simmons isn't available, then Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and every draft pick we got might be the best move the Rockets have if Danny Ainge wants to finally, do his best to actually win a title. I'm not sure he's interested in that. He's kind of running a draft pick Ponzi scheme over there. But if he wants to cash in those chips, this would be the time to do it, Broussard.
Yes. Denver is really interesting. I think kind of like the idea of him going to Brooklyn, it'd be a chemistry experiment. Because Nikola Jokic really runs that offense. And he would take the ball out of his hands. How would Harden play? It'd be very interesting, but certainly the talent, you would love that big three. I'm with you, though, Nick, on the Celtics. I think you're right. They're not winning the championship as they are. Jaylen Brown is really good. So is Marcus Smart. But if you can bring James Harden to the East, now you've got him and Jason Tatum as a dynamic duo. I'm not saying I would put them as the favorites there, but they would become very intriguing. And then with the Raptors, I don't think they'd be good enough to win the championship. But Masai Ujiri, we know he'll pull the trigger.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.